I was in the Air Force, and in 1998, during a training incident, I fell off a fast rope, and so I basically fell 40 feet and shattered L1 vertebrae and became a spinal cord injury.
Okay. Were you much of an athlete before?
Yes.
Okay.
In high school, I was trying to be, soccer was the sport that I wanted to do, but in the school that my dad was Air Force too, and so we moved around. And when we moved into the high school that I graduated from, I moved in my sophomore year, and I wasn't on the team, but I started getting into cross-country running and track. And during the winter months, every weekend we were up at the mountain skiing, but we were alpine skiing.
Right.
And when I went to college, I started rowing because my dad was a rower in high school when he was young, and so that was what I kind of wanted to do. So I was a rower. And then when I got hurt, I thought I was going to get into alpine skiing because that's what I had done. And it took me a while to do that because, you know, I know how hard it is to walk around in the snow, so why would I want to wheel around in the snow? And so it took me a while to get back to the mountain. Then once I got back to the mountain, then I started alpine skiing, and then alpine skiing just wasn't giving me what it used to give me. You know, your legs are on fire from doing all the mogul turns and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and I just wasn't getting that. So they said, well, do cross country, which I had done before when we weren't alpine skiing. Maybe the snow wasn't good enough for alpine. We'd go cross country skiing, and thought, well, all right, I'll give that a shot. But at first the concept was, well, that's just a big gut check. Why would anybody want to do that? You know, it's your arms. But because the VA basically offered me the opportunity to try it, provided equipment that I could try, and the support, it was like, why not? And because I tried it, it gave me what I was looking for in alpine skiing. So now I'm basically a cross-country skier, and I'm actually anti-alpine. It's kind of funny.
Are you glad that you kind of got into rowing before all this happened?
I think so. Rowing definitely gave me that cardiovascular, full-body sort of workout concept of what intensity was. Difference being that rowing, I was in eights, and so I'm used to being one with 8 other people, coxswain included, who was, you know, half our size, yet 10 times the personality. And I was used to also, with that, going with where's the boat going? You know, what are we doing today? The coxswain tells me. Whereas in cross-country skiing, coaches are asking me what I want. And I'm going, wait. So it's kind of a different concept, but yeah, the intensity's there, that heart rate's there, that lactic acid burn, all that kind of stuff is all there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit longer in cross-country skiing too, because, you know, with rowing in the spring, it was all 2,000 meters. In the falls, when we do our longer ones, but I can't remember, it's more like 6,000, but nothing like 15.
Absolutely. So tell me about your sled there. I was talking with John about the sleds, and particularly when I've seen other para athletes, and I've watched when, you know, you got your legs doubled up underneath you. Yep. And I know you don't have any feeling, correct?
Right.
But what about circulation?
Oh, it's big. And because I can't feel, then I think I'm basically ignoring pain that my body's telling me, you know, something's wrong. But in the beginning, you just have to monitor it, and so basically you're checking for signs that you're actually doing something detrimental.
What do you do?
You've got to just unfold out of this thing and look and see if your toes blanch. So you've got to be able to undress.
Yeah.
And that's not always exactly, we're not always in the conditions where that can happen. And that's one of those things, I guess, you know, it's where it's kind of frustrating that there's not more of us out here, because you want more people to play with. But it's really hard, especially, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't recognize. A coach might say, come on out, it'll be no big deal. And you're going, well, you know, first of all, my wheelchair doesn't make it to where you want me to get on snow. Second of all, me getting on snow takes about 15 minutes, and it's a full-on process. And now you want me to be able to get in and out, in and out, in and out. Well, and then they go, well, we'll just go over to this yurt and we'll warm up. Well, there's no chair at the yurt. There's no
Getting in the door, how do you,
Yeah, are you going to carry me? And then if you do, well, then that's a whole process. And of course, people are like, oh, no, a big deal, don't worry about it. Well, no, it is a big deal, and it is a process. And so you have to be able to invest a lot into this. And so then that's the reason, I guess, you know. But having said that, there's a lot of people who are willing to you just got to be able to think outside of the box and be able to accommodate and do what you can. I know at home, I ski at Mount Spokane, that's from basically from, and it's a Forest Service facility, so they don't make any changes in any sort of timely manner. But they are willing to work with me, and they know that, you know, they should be doing this and they should be doing that, and it's hilarious because they'll make like this accessible bathroom, but it's, you know, after it's snowed, it's 6 feet down, and there's no way to get down. So
what are you gonna do?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate the effort, but so it's tough. But you know, there's methods to do that. And with the sled, there aren't enough of us to really make a scientific. You know, we were skiing one time in Sun Valley, and there happened to be some guys from the Scott company who were watching us, and they were talking to us and saying, oh, we totally could make a better sled. This, you know, that we could articulate this, and we could make this, that, and it would be lighter and stronger, and this and that and the other. And oh, great, you know, that awesome. Let's do something. And what are the numbers we're talking about? How many are we talking about here? And we're going, well, there's 4 of us on the national team, and when we compete, there's maybe 20 to 40 competitors. And they go, oh, well, we were thinking more like 1,000. And you're going, yeah, well,
ain't gonna happen.
1,000 worldwide. So they go, okay, dropped, done. And so, you know, it's just tough. And then when you see, for example, when we were just watching the Summer Olympics, the Summer Paralympics, and some of the wheelchair racers, there was the guy who was a Formula One racer, and Ferrari made his hand cycle. And so it's this cool, you know, well, do you think Ferrari's going to make me a hand cycle? No.
Right.
And so there's this huge disparity between entry-level, low-level equipment and, you know, high-level equipment. And I think it's a little bit more intense than, say, on the able-bodied side. Plus, you can't just go to your local ski shop and say, hey, you know, what skis do I use? They're like, what, you ski? You know, and so then, so you're basically reinventing the wheel, and it's really tough to come to say, like, here, and we meet some people who are like, yeah, let's do that, you know, great, and let's go ski, and then we leave, and we take all our resources, you know, our coaches and that sort of thing, all our thinking, and they go back to their local shop, and their local shop is enthusiastic, but have no clue. And that's not their fault, but it's just the nature of the beast. And so they have to basically start from scratch, and then they'll come to national team with this cool sled that they came up with, and we'll go, yeah, we thought about that in the 70s, and that was, but this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But it worked great for at home.
Yeah.
And nope. You know, hey, let's put some push handles on here and stuff, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
It's all, so it's funny and interesting, and it's interesting to go in the international scene in that we seem to be the innovators, and when I say we, it's like the U.S. has been the innovator, but then some of the European countries have picked up that ball, like France and Germany, and now they're the innovators. And Russia's one of those, and the former Soviet Union, they used to just come with the standard blam, you know, and they'd make 1 million of them. And now they look at what we've made and make 1 million of what we've made, and
yeah, so we break the ground and then they run with it. Right?
Yeah. So like this position, for example, is relatively new, but it's not new in that's the wheelchair racer position. That's the quad rugby position. That's the basketball where you want everything compact. And then it was just a couple of us came up and said, well, let's do that on our ski. Why would you want your feet way out here? That puts all that mass spread out over a longer, and so you're trying to turn and it doesn't really work. And plus what it does is it tends to put your body into this sort of, I'm sitting in a lounge chair waiting to, you know, switch the channel, and that's not an athletic, and so now you're just, you know, kind of overworking this, and you might have some abs, you might have some of this that you can totally get up and over, but because your hips are going, let's rest, you're not in that.
Yeah.
And so this was an attempt to get everything to be more dynamic. Of course, then you have the limitations are, what do you have here? Some of us can't sit in this position because you sit us up like this, we don't have the abs to support us, and we're flopping over.
Right.
And that's the difference in that, like the wheelchair racer, you've got a frame to hold on to. You're bouncing off your legs, and you're just constantly sitting like this. Well, in a ski, you've got to be able to get up, get down, get over to the side. And if you can't do that, then you've got to sit in a position that puts you in a more stable position and makes you.
Yeah, so everybody's a little different, I
Yes,
guess.
and
Yeah.
so then that makes it tough too, because you're like, hey, we've got a ski for you. It doesn't fit this guy.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it tough again to go back home and you're done.